Elon buys Twitter. Everyone else got it wrong. We've been calling it for weeks. Find out why. Emergency press conference. Elon has officially purchased Twitter. You would have heard this news that this was going to happen on this show for the past 2 weeks. Don't believe me? Great. Let's look at some of the clips. If the board is acting in the shareholders' best interest, the board takes this offer all day long. Now, one of these dumb CNBC analysts says, oh, well, yeah, Elon just, he said he doesn't have the financing lined up to go buy the rest, the other 90% of Twitter. Do these people not understand this is the richest person in the world? So that was argument one. Oh, Elon's not taking this seriously. He hasn't lined up the financing. Horrible, just like nonsensical argument. You've got these CNBC analysts going on TV saying that they don't think Musk's offer is serious because he didn't line up financing in his offer to buy Twitter, right? Like, these people have no idea what they're talking about. You can buy businesses with way less money than $264 billion when they're worth $40 billion, $45 billion. I think he's going to buy it. I thought he was going to buy it. I've been saying to buy Twitter. I've been buying Twitter. I bought actually more Twitter in the morning before the deal was actually announced later in the day, right? So like, this thing was so underpriced, and the media had everyone kind of believing that this deal wasn't going to go through because the media is biased and they didn't want Twitter to be sold. They don't want Twitter's free speech problem to go away. They want the content censorship. And you know what? The American people don't want content censorship. That's why Twitter's business is flat, right? It's like 32, 33. Oh, look, maybe they got to 34 million monthly active users in the United States, right? Like, the business has not been growing for years. They haven't been able to ramp up monetization. Parag is out within 6 months, guaranteed. Should have never been CEO. We called it on the first episode that we did on this topic, where we looked at what Parag was signaling to the market, right? And he was saying, yeah, we don't have a problem. We don't need to change anything. We need to stay focused, right? The first step to actually solving a problem is to have awareness that you have a problem. And I think what you're going to have happen now is Parag's going to be out of a job within 6 months, hopefully sooner. What is great, I think you're going to have a natural cleansing of the company. You're going to have people that are extremists, that love content censorship way too much, that are going to just leave because they can see the writing on the wall. That's honestly the best thing that could ever happen to Twitter. And then you're going to have a good chunk of people that kind of stay. They like the paycheck, kind of like operate like a mini resistance inside the company. That's absolutely going to happen. There's going to be like culture wars here. Ultimately, Elon will prevail. Ultimately, Elon will install, I think, great management, who believe in free speech. I mean, it's simple. That's all you really need to do for this business, right? And I think you do those things, you get back to the core value prop of what a platform business is supposed to do, which is what? To facilitate the exchange of ideas and enable creativity, right? And content creation and content expression. But what these content platforms have been doing is actually suppressing content creation and creativity and free speech. Like, they've literally been going against the very grain of what they're created to do. And you go read all these, tech media groups. Twitter embraces Musk. Will he live to regret it? Musk may come to rue the day he made this deal. Musk is going to make a boatload of money. You get just a modicum of growth out of this thing, which has had zero growth. All their growth in air quotes for you folks listening, is internationally, and you can't monetize those users, right? The real growth needs to come from the US and, other first world kind of, European markets, right? If you can show growth from those markets where you can actually monetize the users in an advertising model rather than trying to figure out some kind of subscription thing, which was never going to work before it even started, you double the value of this business. You double the value of this business in 2 seconds, right? If you can return this business to a growth story. And how do you return this business to a growth story? You become more inclusive, right? And you allow more free speech. And, that certainly bucks the trend. It's the craziest thing that, you actually have anti-American principles being touted by the media, by these content platforms to go against the very basics of what it means to be an American. It's actually insane. Musk is going to make a boatload of money on this. Don't you worry. Literally, it's Musk is never going to buy this business. Musk is never going to buy this business. Musk is distracted. This is just a toy for Musk. He doesn't really care about this. This is never going to happen. This is never. Two, okay, it happens. Two, all his advertisers are going to leave. This is going to go down in a burning pile of flames. Musk is an idiot. Blah, 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 right? Like, the media is just so biased and can't look at this stuff objectively. It's just crazy. Every single thing that comes out, they're comparing Jeff Bezos' purchase of the Washington Post. Here's the difference. When you buy a media entity, it is a publisher, right? When you buy a content platform, Section 230, it's not a publisher, right? That's why they're not liable for what's published on the platform. Yeah, that is the distinction. You buy a media company, they are a publisher. They take ownership. They have liability for what they publish. It needs to be the truth. Unfortunately, that's not the case anymore these days, but that's what's supposed to happen. Platform is other people's content. We do not curate it. We do not edit it. We do not choose what people publish, right? Hence, we are not a publisher. We are a platform. But, these worlds have actually been converging, right? The media folks publish fake news and don't want to take liability. The platforms want to edit and curate and censor more and also not take liability. I mean, you can't have your cake, eat it too. It's not how the world works. The culture of this company is going to change. And that is the most important thing, right? Like, what is a company besides its people and its culture, including these tech companies? It's the culture and the people. And that's going to change big time. And it starts top down, right? When you have Jack to Parag, culture ain't changing, right? It's just more of the same thing. Parag been there over a decade. It's the same Dorsey show, which is what's interesting because now Dorsey came out and said, Elon is the singular solution that I trust. Our last episode where we talked about this, we were saying, hey, look, these guys are getting along. We also called that on the show. Go check that episode out, right? Like, hey, these guys are actually... like, they may have different opinions on content censorship, but they're actually friends. I mean, they're doing live streams together. Jack, came out and beat up on the board, right? That was kind of a twist. And we were talking about how Jack doesn't like the board because they kicked him out of his job. The idea and service is all that matters to me, Jack says. I love Twitter. And I will do whatever it takes to protect both. Twitter as a company has always been my sole issue and my biggest regret. It's been owned by Wall Street, and the ad model, taking it back from Wall Street, is the correct first step, right? So Jack is for this, but again, on different grounds, right? He wants Twitter to kind of move away from being driven by, we got to do ads, we got to do subscriptions, right? Like, I think Jack's like, oh yeah, great, let's launch subscriptions so I can make more money, and that's not what's motivating for him, right? In principle, I don't believe anyone should own or run Twitter. It wants to be a public good at a protocol level, not a company, which you would think would move it away from not doing content censorship, right? Like, public good at a protocol level, not a company, to me translates to free speech, less censorship. But that's what's so weird about how he went ultra censorship. Solving for the problem of it being a company, however, Elon is the singular solution I trust. I trust his mission to extend the light of consciousness, right? Very powerful words. Elon's goal of creating a platform that is maximally trusted and broadly inclusive is the right one. This is also Parag's goal. Wrong, not true, fake news. And why I chose him. Thank you both for getting the company out of an impossible situation. This is the right path. I believe it with all my heart. Mixed messages here. I think net, Jack's looking at this and he's saying, I'd rather this be in Elon's hands than just with this board that he hates and driven by Wall Street and these kinds, right? It's kind of like, yes, this one is going to be better. Maybe he doesn't totally agree with Elon. I think they have different ways that they think about inclusivity. This inclusivity word is highly charged, right? The way they think about it, they being Jack and Parag and mainstream media, is we need to be inclusive by censoring content so that we create an inclusive environment that people can't be harmed, right? Well, you got to wake up. And in the real world, the practical world, the free speech world, yeah, there's stuff that's harmful. Is it threatening? Is it going to come after you and hurt you? No. But is it going to hurt your feelings? Yeah, it is. You know what? But I'd rather take that world with free speech and hurt feelings in the world of censorship and thought policing, and like I'm literally living in the book 1984.